Okay, I just have one more issue before we talk a bit more about COVID. But we spoke about this yesterday on the phone when we were talking about this interview. But for the benefit of our listeners who don't know this, Majella, can you explain to our listeners that people in state residential care do not have a free ride in terms of their care, in terms of the financial cost of providing for their care every year?
So basically, people who live in nursing home care, either state funded or state provided, most people would fall under the Fair Deal scheme. Some people don't. Some people choose not to use the Fair Deal scheme, and nursing home costs on average is about €1,500 a week. It can be higher or lower depending on what part of the country you are in. But if you are going into care under the Fair Deal scheme, as a single person, 80% of your accessible funding, your accessible money each week, like be it from a pension, is that goes towards your care. So if you own a home and you're renting it out, 40% of the income you get from that also goes towards your care. You are allowed to have €36,000 in savings, but if you have anything over that, a percentage of that is taken each year for 3 years. They take 7.5% of your savings and then 7.5% of your home for 3 years. After 3 years, you don't pay any more on your principal home. So for many people who live in nursing homes, whose main income might be their old age pension, 80% of that is automatically discarded because it goes towards their care. And that would leave the typical person on the normal state pension with about €40 a week. And out of that, they would have to pay for activities. They would have to pay for laundry, hairdressing. That's not included in the 80% that they've taken.
I think that's outrageous. 80%. That's like the figures you just gave there about savings or whatever for 3 years. I think that doesn't sound bad, but like 80%. The only having 40 or €50 a week as an adult, 40 or 50 a week, and then having to spend more on top of that for toiletries and stuff. Like even if it was 50%, I'd be pretty shocked to hear that. But 80%, I think that's totally unfair. And I know in mental health centres, residential centres, like a lot of people smoke cigarettes, so you wouldn't be able to afford to buy a packet of cigarettes every day, wouldn't you know?
No, and that's really important because people who live in nursing homes, they still have the same likes and dislikes as they always did, And many families, many people in nursing homes are relying on their family members to supplement their costs, be it to pay for, like activities can be anything from, and you have to pay for activities whether or not you participate in them. So if the activities that is provided are not to your liking, you are still obliged to pay for them because they are happening and you're choosing not to go. And that can range from anything from 40, €50 a month and more in some cases. If you don't have family members to either do your laundry, to wash their clothes, you have to pay for that. So you could be left with very little, or you could be left with not enough, and family members would have to come in to supplement that. But there are many people who live in care who don't have family members who can come in and supplement their weekly money.